Hello and welcome to my new video. If you're new here, hi, I'm Lex, and today I wanted to run around Lorien, my favorite of my islands, and aside from playing Animal Crossing New Horizons, one of my greatest hobbies has to be thinking about the next Animal Crossing. I'm sure that if you've played this game, you've also fantasized at least once about what the next game in the series is going to be. And today I wanted to talk about some things that I really hope we'll see in the next one, because as much as I love New Horizons, there are a lot of things that I wish Nintendo had done to improve the game. Anyway, I feel more strongly about some of these than I do others, but I wanted to start by saying I really hope the next game will feature some better multiplayer, elements. I think it would be cool to have mini games that you could play. I know a lot of former players have talked about Tortimer's Island, I believe, in New Leaf, and while I don't have experience with it myself, I think the idea of mini games that you can play with your friends when they visit your island would be so precious. It would be so fun. It would be, refreshing to have something to do other than just running around taking pictures and, capturing critters and stuff. While I do love the critter capturing minigame you can play if you have a stopwatch, it is cute and fun. I just wish there were more things. And I mean, even when there's a fishing tourney or a bug tourney going on, it's, it would be cool to have something other than just catching critters and running around. Nintendo, if you're listening, this would also be so smart financially, because more people will want Nintendo Online if there's a good reason for them to have it for Animal Crossing, And even less direct multiplayer things, like imagine if you could visit dream addresses as a group. Imagine if you and your friends could visit the same dream address together. That would be so fun. My second wishlist item would be more. Just more of everything. I want more furniture, more clothes, more villagers, which I'm assuming we will have new villagers with the new game, since they usually do release new villagers, but also new villagers, or more villagers on the island. 10 is perfect for me, but there have been islands I've had where I've been like, wow, I wish I could have more, or even less. I think it would be cool to be able to have a different number of villagers and it not affect your island rating or anything. Still be able to do amiiboing if you don't have the full limit of villagers. I just think that would be really nifty and neat, and it would expand, creative liberties for the game. Speaking of more and villagers, I think we would benefit quite a lot from having more dialogue in the next game. I do think that while the different personalities make this game feel fresh, I love my villagers very much, their dialogue did get really old really fast. When, if you have 3 normal villagers on your island, you're going to be hearing the same dialogue quite a bit. And yeah, I would just love to see some more dialogue added in. And a lot of people have mentioned how in the older games, the villagers could be rude, while in New Horizons, they're always polite to a fault. It would be so funny for them to have some of the meaner elements of their personalities present again. And again, I do love my villagers, don't get me wrong, and I love talking to them, etc. I just think that their dialogue, especially with each personality type. Normal was probably a bad example, but peppy villagers especially, their dialogue can get really repetitive when they're talking about the same things 90% of the time. Up next, and I'm glad I'm walking through my farm for this, because my farm, it took so long to acquire all of the items I need. And I mean, as a creator, I have made myself, learn how to use treasure islands and everything, so I've had access to treasure islands, which makes everything so much easier. It has still been a trial, always, for me, and I've talked about this in many videos, just acquiring the items that I need for a build. So I can't imagine for people who don't have Nintendo Online and can't visit treasure islands, or just don't know of treasure islands, and so they grind to get all the items themselves by Nook shopping. It is difficult to acquire items in this game. Even before you have it in the catalog, having to find all of the items you need is a difficult pursuit. Happy Home Paradise makes it easier, per se, but even Happy Home Paradise is, locked behind a paywall, so not every player is going to have that. I hope that the next game will feature easier item acquisition in general. I think that would be a huge help, just to make it easier for, creators who do prefer designing, making it easier for them to get all of the items they need to do so. Another thing that a lot of people have mentioned and talked about with New Horizons is the lack of quality of life updates we got. One of these would of course be bulk buying, bulk crafting. If you want to make fish bait, for instance, that's the one thing that I had to craft so many times. only being able to make, you know, a certain number at a time is wild. I wish that we could, based on the number of resources we have for a craftable item in our inventory, we should be able to just select how many we want up to the max. You know, if you can make 200 fish bait, let me make that at once instead of being at the crafting table for, you know, an hour just to make fish bait. It takes a while to get some of these rarer fish, and I remember that being one of the most monotonous tasks early in the game for me, trying to make all the fish bait I needed. And things like Nookazon make it easier. You know, you can just buy in bulk from people who have a ton already, but again, that is for players who have Nintendo Online, for players who know about this stuff. And if you're just a casual player and you're just on your Switch playing alone, you might not, you know, even want to rely on other players for stuff. So being able to bulk buy, bulk craft, it would just be really nice. That goes for things like flower seeds from Leaf too. Instead of only being able to buy 5 at a time, I'm gonna use, you know, 400 flowers on my island. Let me buy 100 at a time, please, Nintendo. This next concept is a little bit more wild. It's not something I would fully expect from Nintendo, but we can hope. You might have caught the trend a few months back of modded items in the game, and of course Nintendo frowns on this. They don't like when people mod their games, but imagine if they expanded. You know, we had a lot in custom designs this game. It was huge. Pathing made such a huge difference on the game. I mean, as I'm walking through my island, you can see all the custom designs that have come onto my map and changed the entire vibe. Imagine if we could have that kind of thing for items designed by other players, like the modded items. Think The Sims custom content. It would be game-changing to have items made by other players, things that you could put on your island. You know, they could pick the dimensions and everything. It would work out perfectly, and it would be so cool. We've seen just from the mods how incredible some creators in our community are, how creative, and that it would just be mind-boggling to see what people would create for these islands. My point with the custom designs is, you know, that was a huge expansion in New Horizons, them making it so that you could have so many custom designs and making, you know, the possibilities with custom designs so great. It would be a good next step, I think, to expand beyond just custom designs into custom items. I hope you're appreciating this view. My next point, I think it would be so fun to see a new type of setting from the game. We've had towns, we've had islands. The general setup is pretty similar each time. You know, you need land, you need water, you need a beach so that you can have fishing. I feel like it would be really cool to see them do a totally new kind of setting, and I'm open to hearing your ideas if you've had any. I mean, I'm sure that people have theorized about things like having a space biome in Animal Crossing would be super cool. I mean, people make space islands in New Horizons, things like that, but even, you know, less otherworldly, I think it would be cool to see just different types of areas, or even the ability to make, like, I don't know, different spaces. Like, what if we could choose a jungle island? I'm thinking like Stardew Valley, how you can choose different formats for your farm. Imagine having different formats for your island or whatever it is in the next game, your town. Imagine being able to choose between like a jungle, a seaside town, and having different trees, plants, etc. go along with that. It would be very cool. My idea is of course not fully fleshed out. I'm speaking aloud my thoughts as I'm talking to you. I would love to hear your ideas for what kind of setting you think we could see in a future Animal Crossing game, considering, you know, we've had towns and islands now. What else could they do? I want to be very clear here that I am so grateful to Nintendo for this game, and I think it is lovely. I adore New Horizons, and I think it's incredible. I do share the sentiment that a lot of players do, though, that New Horizons was a little underbaked upon release. It was missing some very critical elements of Animal Crossing, like dream addresses and swimming, etc., that really feel like they should have been there at release. I mean, it was an island game. Swimming seems like something you would have had from the beginning. Also, dream addresses have already been present in the game in like New Leaf. That seems like something we would have had as soon as the game was released. I deleted my first ever island before dream addresses were released, and I would have saved it had I known that was going to be a thing. That being said, because of the underbakedness, I feel like some of the updates fell a little flat because they felt like things that should have been in the game already, and while that doesn't stand true for everything, I think the 2.0 update especially was phenomenal. I was so excited. It was like life-changing for me. I do hope that with the next game they have better game maintenance, so more free updates that actually feel like updates and not just them like finishing the game. even more DLC. You know, I don't mind that Happy Home Paradise costs an extra price. I think they added a ton of content with it and it was very worth it to me. I would love to see some additional DLC in the next game. I mean, imagine if they had continued updating New Horizons. We'd still have so many players who have since dropped the game because they just didn't have much left to do on their islands. I think more DLC could make all the difference, and then again, more free updates, just more things to look forward to with the game. I think this game had so much potential, and I don't think they wasted it at all, but I do think they could have done more had they wanted to. I'm sorry in advance because my next one is in fact a controversial take. I know, I've had many fights about it. Nintendo, I am begging for a creative mode. Think Minecraft, how there's survival and then creative. Imagine if you could have 2 modes for islands on Animal Crossing. I say islands because that's what I'm used to, but you know, whatever, towns, anything. Imagine if we could have like a sandbox mode where you could terraform freely. Think Happy Home Paradise, except with terraforming too. I would have made so many islands by now. This goes into my complaint about item acquisition being difficult. If I could just be creative in the game, I love Happy Home Paradise. I love decorating in that. I would absolutely adore having a bigger space for that. Imagine even if they made like smaller islands for creative mode. That would be so fun. And I say it's controversial because some players do say it would take away from the point of Animal Crossing and that, you know, it would kind of defeat the purpose of playing for a lot of people, but I think having the 2 modes would be perfect. If you prefer Animal Crossing traditionally, the way it's played, you know, interacting with your villagers, collecting things slowly, just slowness in general, you know, changing with the seasons, figuring things out as you go, I think that the regular mode would still have plenty of players. And I mean, I would have my own regular island too. But I think that given the expansion of decorating that we got with New Horizons, being able to decorate outdoors, having, you know, a full island like this, I think that a creative mode would be, again, a logical next step for Animal Crossing. And it would be amazing for players like myself who do prefer to decorate. I play the game predominantly for decorating. I love designing my islands. So it would just be so incredible to be able to do that more freely, to have more creative expression, freedom, etc. It would be absolutely mind-boggling and I would love it. By the way, if you're still here, smash that like button. My 10th and final wishlist item, my final request for Nintendo for the next game, and this does kind of go along with a creative mode, more, as I said earlier, more furniture, etc. I think it would be cool to have more options for terraforming bridges and inclines. So a more dynamic process for water terraforming. It is a little rigid at the moment, and while we can of course make beautiful water features, I feature just the coolest builds in Animal Crossing all the time. People are amazing with the tools that we have now. Imagine if there was more you could do, if you could do a little bit more curvature, if you could change the way that your water is edited, your cliffs, etc. I think it would be really cool to see how they could expand terraforming to make cliffs and water features look different. I don't know exactly what that would look like. I am no design expert, but I think the idea is cool. The concept of having different options for terraforming would be really fun. And then bridges and inclines, I think we need some different customizations for them. I think they could have added an update where they did make new types of inclines and bridges. Just different vibes, different colors, etc. would be really helpful, and I think it would expand the theme options for islands a lot to have that. So I hope in the next game they do give a few more options for this kind of thing. While I love the ones we have, of course, it would be cool to see some new ones. Those are my thoughts on the next Animal Crossing, and yes, I'm pretty confident there will be a next Animal Crossing. Please do share your thoughts. I'd love to hear what kind of things you're looking forward to for the next game. What kind of stuff would you want? What did you love about New Horizons and what did you not love so much? What would you like to see improved? I love to discuss this. Thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video. But for now, bye!